So we are starting with pulmonary edema. It is related to lungs. There is some kind of fluid collection nearby the pulmonary cavity or the layers. Beside that, in certain interstitial spaces, the collection of fluid is occurring. So this is known as pulmonary edema, and because of that, there will be some kind of pressure due to the collection of fluid over the alveoli. So let's see the definition. Pulmonary edema is an abnormal accumulation of fluid. So normal fluid, as I said, is required there. So friction will be avoided. But in case there is an abnormal collection of fluid in the interstitial spaces of the lungs, that will diffuse into the alveoli. And then there will be an respiratory errors. Okay. What will be the causes of that? So we are aware that cardiac system and pulmonary system are vice versa. They are interrelated to each other. Their functions are also interrelated to each other. So in case of failure of any kind of one side of like a heart, so in that case it may happen. So in cases of heart diseases, we can take as left-sided heart failure. And why the fluid collection is there? So in previous disorders, we have seen a lot of times that might be circulatory overload. If kind of volume is increasing in the body, so it will all get transfused into the cells. Cells will accumulate with the fluids, and that will again collect, and abnormally they will stabilize into the cells, and they will create edema. So one cell is being overloaded, that will suppress the other cells also. So what are the causes? Let's see. Heart disease, in that left-sided heart failure, myocardial infarction, aortic stenosis, severe mitral valve disease, that will again regurgitate the blood back to the system. Then in cases of circulatory overload, whenever we are transfusing the IV fluid and it has not been properly measured, we are not counting down the drips, so this will definitely disturb the systemic volume, and infusion also will also disturb. So that is why we keep a certain kind of measurement, especially in the cardiac or renal failure. Then hypervolemia. In any case, hyperfluid intake is there. That's why in the patient of ICU, whomsoever is there, or any kind of patient, like even though in the wards, we are calculating intake and output chart. How much fluid is being intake in the body, how much output is there, how much urination is there. So that should have a proper system or proper kind of you can say that it should have a proper kind of, just a second. So in the case of excessive intake of fluid, intake output chart, it has not been maintained, equilibrium is not there in intake and output. In that case, it will occur with the circulatory overload and even hypervolemic conditions. The next is any kind of surgical procedure, lobectomy, any part of the any of the organ, even in lungs, if it is being removed, one lobe is being removed, and this will again lead to kind of pulmonary edema. So these are the causes where heart diseases, circulatory overload, hypervolemia are the causes, and lastly, any surgical procedures will be responsible for the cause of pulmonary edema. Next is any kind of thoracentesis procedure. What is thoracentesis procedure? We are removing the fluid. Okay, so you will ask that in case of we are removing the fluid, what will be the cause that it will like lead to this? So one of the reason is in case of pleural effusion, re-expansion of pulmonary edema will take place. You are doing a kind of pleural tapping. This is a procedure done when there is too much of fluid in the pleural cavity. But it will allow the pleural fluid to be analyzed, and we have to perform a lab investigation out of it, and we have to remove the excessive fluid from the layers which is consisting of excessive fluid. So that has to be taken out. But again, it will be leading to recollection, re-expansion of the pulmonary edema if in case pleural effusion is there. Next is drug hypersensitivity or opioid overdose. Also, they are responsible to take the collection of fluid. In case any kind of lung injury is there, like what will be leading to lung injury? So it will be some kind of irritant like smoke inhalation, pulmonary embolism. All these are the responsible factors. So internal lung injuries may just, the irritants may lead to injury to the parenchymal tissues. What will be the pathophysiology? We had seen all the causes. According to these causes, we will see the pathophysiology. So what will happen? The cause is like heart failure, the backup of blood into the pulmonary vascular. So backflow of blood is there. Walls are weak, so it will again go back to the pulmonary vasculars, means vessels, and then it will be deposited into the vessels and pleural cavity. Then in case leading to the increase in microvascular pressure. So definitely the minor vessels will get pressure because the backflow of blood is there, and that normal flow which is again coming to that channel in a normal cycle will also be there. So there will be an excessive pressure, that backflow of blood and that coming of blood. So both of these will be, one is going in the reverse direction, one is coming in the common direction. Okay, so both of these will create a pressure over the microvascular. Next is, in that case, what will happen? The fluid will leak into the interstitial spaces and alveoli. That will be excessively collected into vessels, and that will be again leaked into the interstitial spaces, spaces between the cells. And because of this, alveoli are affected and impair gas exchange, especially oxygen movement in the pulmonary capillaries will be deteriorated or will be defective. And due to this, rupture of microvasculature, and we can see that in the form of pink or frothy sputum. How can we detect that the vasculature is being damaged or it has been ruptured? The minor vessels are ruptured. So whenever the cough is coming out, the sputum is coming out during coughing, they will have a pink frothy sputum. It will be pink coloration, it will be frothy, and the sputum will be like, might be thicker. Whenever the normal secretions will be pale yellowish or something kind of color. Then in clinical manifestation, the patient, that is what is affecting, pulmonary system is getting affected. The patient will get coughing, he will get restless because coughing will definitely disturb the sleep also. Then in case of like dyspnea, orthopnea, okay, during positional changes also patient will suffer with the difficulty in breathing, and with the retraction of intercostal spaces with the supraclavicular areas. The patient will be struggling for breathing. So in that case, what will happen, that intercostal spaces will be retracted and the supraclavicular areas will be also like retracted with the intercostal area. And you can see the patients who are having the breathing difficulty will have a positional change. They will exhaust to breathe, they will be having pink frothy sputum. Means the patient will be suffering with the like vascular damage, and due to that, whenever the cough is coming out, it will be pink and frothy in color. Patient will be anxious because pink frothy sputum, it's not a normal thing. He can see. So might be he will say that I am having some kind of critical disorder. So he will get panic. Noisy breathing will be there. As he is exhausting, whistling sound will be coming. Whenever like he is breathing, he is struggling, deep breaths will be there. So wheezing and doubling sound will be there. Whenever you will do the physical examination, chest expansion, when you will calculate, the ratio is not being managed. Inspiratory and expiratory ratio will be not managed. It will not be 1:2 or 2:1. It will be differentiated. Cyanosis, as oxygen is not being supplied, a proper amount of oxygen intake is not there. As I said earlier, that inspiration and expiration process has been, especially that inspiration will be totally deteriorated. In that case, oxygen is not there in a correct amount. So in that case, bluish discoloration. So cyanosis will be there. In that case, it can be the peripheral cyanosis or it can be the deeper cyanosis, which can be seen through the mucosal, which is called as central cyanosis. Okay. Then diaphoresis. Of course, the patient is struggling so hard with the breathing, he will get diaphoresis, he will get perspirated because he is struggling hard to take breath. Tachycardia. Breathe will be increased, he is exhausted, so heart will start pumping harder. So tachycardia will be there. Distended jugular veins. Whenever you will see the neck, there will be a jugular vein, it will be distended. That will be when we had seen the physical examination. In that, I had shown you that jugular vein distension was present in such patients. Urination will be decreased. What can be the diagnostic test in this? So, X-ray. Okay, X-ray is being taken to I'm sorry, to see the size of the heart or the even the lungs, peripheral cavity, pleural cavity, sorry, that will be affected. We can check the lung size and even that will suppress the heart also. So it can be leading to the pressure over the lung tissues, parenchymal tissue, the size will be greater, pleural cavities will inflate or edematous the size of the lungs. Echocardiogram can be done. Again, what will be seen by echocardiogram? It is happening because of what might be valvular damage or cardiac failure. So through echocardiogram, we can see is there any valvular dysfunction which is leading to the differentiation of this, or ejection fraction has been affected and the lungs have been getting affected. Pulmonary artery wedge pressure. This has to be, this is a Schwann's gaze catheterization. This is a procedure we are inserting the catheter, and this is a differentiating the etiology from cardiac and pulmonary. So it will be a catheter that has been inserted in the pulmonary arteries, and then we are inflating the balloon and we can see the pressure that it should be normally 6 to 12 mm of Hg. Next is blood cultures. We are seeing for any kind of infections present. ABG analysis, arterial blood gas analysis. In that you will see the partial oxygen, saturated oxygen, all the saturated carbon dioxide, bicarbonate, HCO3. ABG analysis is very important in any kind of patient who is on ventilators. Every day they are measuring at 6 p.m. to see the correct amount of oxygen, and carbon dioxide also is being checked in the patient who is done with the connected with the ventilators, or endotracheal intubation or tracheostomy is being done. In that patients, like ABG analysis is mandatory to find out the progression of the disease. So by that, if the oxygen saturation is less in the patient's ABG, that is arterial blood gas, then we can find out that patient might be suffering with the progression of the disease. Patient is progressing with the disease of the lungs. For echosynthesis, again, whenever I said that we are removing the fluid from the pleural cavity, the fluid sample has to be taken first for the diagnostic and the treatment procedure. So we can find out it is due to inflammation or it is due to what kind of condition the fluid is being getting collected. So on finding that, we can start with the treatment. Management, what kind of treatment we can do? We know basic treatment, what is the priority? He is lacking with the oxygen. So you have to give oxygenation and relieve the pulmonary congestion. Oxygen therapy has to be started with high concentration of oxygen. That's why we have to just see that patient's condition is for endotracheal intubation, or that he can be managed with the oxygen mask or something. Then intubation and ventilatory support may be needed in this patient. So we have to intubate the patient and ventilatory support may be required. Diuretics. Why diuretics? Because we know that hypervolemic condition, too much of fluid is there. So in that case, which kind of drug? Sulfonamide reduces the blood volume and pulmonary conditions by producing diuresis. Too much of urination will be there and excessive fluid will be taken out from the body. Morphine will reduce the anxiety, and it will also systemic volume resistance will be reduced as pressure has increased in the pulmonary arteries. Vasodilator drugs is required to reduce the amount of blood returning to the heart, because too much of blood collection towards the heart is there, so it will send to the pulmonary arteries and pulmonary system. So that will again be reduced by the vasodilators. Okay, then contractility enhancement therapy has to be given by digoxin and dobutamine, there is a correction in the spelling, dobutamine is there, leads to emptying of the blood into the aorta, and it will decrease the end residual blood into the ventricles. Okay, so excessive amount of that residual blood will be decreased. So whichever body is system is sending the blood towards the heart, so ventricles will empty them into the pulmonary system, but as there is a backflow, so residual amount of blood in the ventricle was too much, so that will be decreased by these, as the contractile activity has been increased, so it will pump out the blood. Then aminophylline prevents the bronchospasm. So it is a aminophylline, deriphyllin are what that will reduce the bronchospasm. It will be associated with the pulmonary edema. Okay. What will be the nursing diagnosis? Priority has to be set. I said gas exchange related to impaired gas exchange related to excessive fluid in the lungs, as lungs are not able to function properly. So in that case, impaired gas exchange, so we have to work on that. Anxiety is related to the sensation of suffocation and fear, and activity intolerance related to the decreased oxygen supply and easy fatigability. So if you are not able to take enough of breathe, you will be getting tired easily. What can be the management in that? You have to give the oxygenation, so improve oxygenation. How you will give? Even you can just pleural tapping has been done first, for thoracosynthesis has been done, then you have to give the oxygenation. Even if required, you can go for the physiotherapy, chest physiotherapy. Anxiety to be reduced by giving moral support. Patient's education is required. So this is what about the pulmonary edema. So whatever you are doing is the nursing management, that is a basic care, is being required by us. So you have to work on that.